a little bit about yourself in the chat box. We'd love to learn more about who you are, where you're located, and what inspired you to join the webinar today. And so we are going to get started. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon from where I am, based in the United States. My name is Carissa Nelson, and I am the project manager at Digital Promise. I'm on the Learning Experience Design team, and I'm so happy to be talking to you all about the Sienna Solutions Challenge. And we are going to talk a little bit about how to get started on the challenge. I also want to quickly introduce my colleague, Elise Gaynor. She is going to be kind of helping me out on the tech side and kind of jumping in on a few slides. And I just wanted to make sure that I highlighted her. So thanks everybody for joining. And again, before we start, just a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. For some of you, you might be joining maybe in your classrooms, maybe you're joining from somewhere where you can't really show your screen or you can't talk and you're only able to use the chat box. I just want to kind of name that that is perfectly fine. You're welcome to come off video or turn off your video if you need to. It's totally up to you. Everyone is on mute. So if you would like to come off of mute and ask a question, you are welcome to do that. And we are going to be recording this session for those who are unable to join. So if you have a colleague and they could make it, no worries. We're going to be sending them, we'll be sending everyone a recording of this webinar in our next newsletter. So I just wanted to mention that. And here is our agenda today. So we are going to talk a little bit about what the Sienna Solutions Challenge is. We'll go over our timeline and how to participate. And we will have an opportunity for you all to ask your questions in real time and provide you with some answers. I'm sure you all have been on very many Zoom calls throughout this year. So I'll be unable to look at the chat box myself, but Elise will be able to respond to some questions. And I just wanted to let you know that somebody is in there. So in case you were wondering. All right, so just short icebreaker. We thank you all for sharing about where you're from and who you are. But now we want to learn a little bit more about your powerful learning experiences. So in the chat box, share a powerful learning experience where you felt engaged and purposeful. This could be a personal experience. This could be something that you may have experienced as a student, maybe as a teacher. This could be in your profession as it currently stands. And we just kind of want to know a little bit about your experiences with powerful learning. So we'll give you about a few minutes to share. I'm now looking at the chat box. Looks like we have folks from all over San Francisco and Colorado. Jody said the most powerful learning is when her kids have their heads together and butts in the air, and I'm not really involved, or she's not really involved. Yeah, that's when you know it's kind of really, it's really happening. Something is brewing up. If anyone is joining just now, thanks for joining. We are just kind of going through a quick icebreaker, just learning a little bit more about your powerful learning experiences. If you want to share a time where you have felt engaged and purposeful or meaningful, in a powerful learning experiences, feel free to share what that is. And we'd love to know a little bit more about your experience in the chat box. This could be personal or it could be professional. The First Nations water crisis in Canada for both me and my students as well when we're learning together. It's awesome. Providing authentic learning experiences for students with people outside the classroom. So getting that kind of real world learning, that's awesome. This is last year, Jenny took a course on how to help her students with dyslexia be able to have a positive learning experience with reading. Yeah. Awesome. Well, feel free to continue to share your powerful learning experiences. We would love to hear more of them, if you can think of any. And, you know, we kind of wanted to use this as an opportunity to let you know and kind of have you see yourself in powerful learning experiences, because that is really what the Sienna Solutions Challenge is all about. Powerful learning experiences that are meaningful and engaging for your students and also for you as the educator. So we will move on to our next slide. So what is the Sienna Solutions Challenge all about? The Sienna Solutions Challenge is a global design challenge that invites students and teachers to design solutions to real issues and problems happening in their community. And it really provides students with an opportunity to take action, and take actionable steps in an effort to build a better world around them. So maybe your students have an interest in exploring a big idea or an issue that they're really passionate about. They're, you know, maybe you're kind of covering a topic in your classrooms that seem to really spark a lot of ideas and a lot of innovative solutions. But you want your students to, you know, investigate and research and learn more about what that is. This challenge will help students to recognize what their innovative ideas can lead to. And so essentially this, the Sienna Solutions Challenge is inspired by Sustainable Development Goals, specifically Goal 11, and it asks learners how they can make an impact or a positive contribution to their community. And so why is this challenge important? You know, why this challenge? And I think that just based off of what I was able to view in the chat box, it looks very, you know, aligned to what you all are kind of doing in your day-to-day work with your students. And so we recognize that and understand the importance of helping to develop the next generation of problem solvers is going to take a lot more than what they have been receiving, in terms of what they're learning. You know, after a very unique and challenging school year, we recognize that students need real world experiences that allow them to see the design world and its impact on people, opportunities to collaborate and empathize across differences, and a diverse set of skills that will really help them to redesign the world around them. And so, like I mentioned before, educators and students are encouraged to consider the intersectionality of the Sustainable Development Goals when deciding how they will make a positive contribution to their community. And so maybe your students are interested in wanting to tackle life below water, or maybe they want to learn a little bit more about affordable and clean energy in their community. Whatever that may look like, you're welcome to kind of find out what those interconnected pieces are with the Sustainable Development Goals and how it really kind of makes a impact and a positive contribution to your community and where you are located. And so because, we believe at Digital Promise in encouraging students to think really big, ask thoughtful questions, and develop meaningful and actionable solutions, we want to invite educators to engage in the challenge-based learning framework, which is how students will be able to really learn how their ideas and their investigative strategies, their solutions, how that kind of all works together to make an impact in their challenge. And so that is how the students will be able to learn, through this challenge-based framework where they'll be able to engage, investigate, and act on their ideas. So if you're familiar with maybe a project-based learning, or if you're familiar with that sort of framework, the challenge-based learning framework is very similar. And so, like I mentioned before, this is an opportunity for students to really kind of work through their big ideas and their essential questions and figure out, what exactly is their solution going to be based off of what they've been able to research. So I just kind of wanted to mention that and show you all what our framework looks like. And I'll come back to this a little bit towards the end. So now we'll talk a little bit more logistically about our timeline. The Siena Challenge timeline is shown here. So right now we are in the middle or in the beginning phase of launching this Global Design Challenge. In June 2021, our registration opened up on our website. So educators, you all may have already been able to register at sienachallenge.org. Which is where you'll get most of the information, all of our challenge information from. In September 2021, the submission period will open for educators and students to submit your projects. And so the submission form is not open, it's not available now, but in September it will be. In January 2022, the submission period will close for projects. So you'll basically have from September 2021 to January 2022 to submit your projects. And then in February 2022, challenge awards will be announced. And so this challenge timeline can be found on our website at sienachallenge.org, and then underneath the About the Challenge subtab. So here are just a few other questions and just things that we know are important to share. So who is eligible to participate? We're looking for in-school and out-of-school educators, teachers from anywhere across the globe, and I do mean anywhere. This opportunity is for anyone who works with middle and high school students, whether you're in an after-school program, you are at a museum or a library. We just want to, kind of see all projects from all educators who are affiliated with a public school, private school, registered homeschool, or a legally recognized educational organization. So like I mentioned, we are looking for middle and high school students or students that are in the grade levels or ages between 11 years old to 19 years old. And students can submit and are encouraged to really leverage digital tools and technologies in their actions and solutions. So your students are welcome to develop a product or device. This might look like a campaign or a piece of media, a physical or digital environment, an experience or a system using some sort of really innovative technology or something else. Surprise us. We are not looking for the most flashiest designs, but we are looking for really creative ideas and solutions to impact issues that are happening, or challenges rather, that are happening in your local community. So keep that in mind. And I'm sure you're wondering now, how will these projects be shared? Where will they live? How will my students, how will we be able to see the projects? And so on our website, we will be hosting the Siena Solutions Challenge online gallery. This will be a public online gallery where projects will be, once submitted, we'll have a set of judges that will essentially evaluate and kind of judge the projects, and then they'll be considered for the online public library. And as part of the Siena Solutions Challenge awards program, eligible educators will be able to apply for a $2,500 USD sustainability award for projects that you wish to sustain and scale. And so if your students have really cool ideas and they're really wanting to, kind of push their project ideas and their solutions beyond the project, this is the opportunity for you to sustain that project with the $2,500 USD Sustainability Award. And now I'm sure you're wondering, what should I do to get started? You're interested, you're ready to kind of go, where's the first place to start? And so if you haven't done so already, please make sure to register as an educator at sienachallenge.org. You'll see on the screen where our actual website is. There is a little button that says sign up. That is where you would sign up as an educator and complete your profile. And from there, you'll be added to our biweekly newsletter, which is sent on a biweekly basis. The newsletter contains all information related to virtual meetups, anything related to the challenge or program logistics. You'll know when our submission form is open from that newsletter. Of course, we'll have webinars that also detail that information, but you will be, once you register you register yourself on the website, you'll be added to our biweekly newsletter mailing list. This is also an opportunity, once you visit the website and after you've created your profile, we have a set of educator resources that you can browse. You can essentially use to your, to the depth that you feel is necessary. We created this educator resource library to help students and educators kind of facilitate your challenges with activities, student directions, educator directions, anything you can think of, it's pretty much in there. So I do recommend that you start with the table of contents because that will give you sort of a larger, bigger picture overview of how to navigate the educator resource library. And the next thing you can do after you've maybe browsed the website a little bit more is share the challenge with your colleagues and your networks. We definitely want to get the word spread about this very exciting and brand new opportunity for educators and students to share their solutions and their really innovative ideas. And another thing I'll mention is that as part of the Siena Solutions Challenge program, we do have professional development and educator resources that are available and will be available for all educators that are participating. So I'll talk a little bit about what those opportunities will look like in the next couple of slides, but I do want to mention that we will have professional development opportunities available. Just wanted to share the Siena Challenge timeline one more time for anyone who wants to maybe screenshot it or you want to write the notes down. Like I mentioned before, it's available on our website, sienachallenge.org, underneath About the Challenge. But this is our timeline. So right now we're just in campaign mode. We are getting the word out to as many people as possible. So we recommend and really encourage you to share this opportunity with your colleagues, your friends, your other teacher friends, or maybe educator friends that are interested. And so now is the opportunity to kind of come off mute, or if you want to ask your questions in the chat box. When you registered for this webinar, there was a question that asked, what kind of questions are you coming with to the program? So I will let Elise kind of take this slide away to kind of answer some of these questions.
Hey everybody, I do see there are some questions coming into the chat, so feel free to keep those going. We did get some questions in advance through your registration, and we wanted to address them here as well. So folks are wondering, who is Sienna, who is Digital Promise? So Chris and I, we work at Digital Promise. We're an education nonprofit. And we work with a lot of different stakeholders in education, from teachers to coaches to superintendents to districts. And this program is situated in our work around powerful learning. So we're supporting powerful learning experiences in schools, primarily through working with teachers. So yes, we are an education nonprofit. We're partnered with Sienna for this project, and Sienna is our partner because they're very interested in digital inclusion. They are a software and networking company, and they have a sizable commitment to making digital technologies and experiences inclusive for all, and are working with us to make that happen. So that's a little bit about us. And there are some questions in the chat as well about this question. How can I facilitate this in a hybrid virtual setting? So we are supporting, teachers in all different contexts. We recognize that some folks will be in school, some folks will be at home, some folks will have hybrid a setting. And we actually ran a pilot program in the spring, and a number of the schools were actually all virtual or in a hybrid setting. So what we would love to do is connect you all to share your challenges, to share the things that you're encountering as you're navigating this environment so that you can figure it out together. We don't have a standard way for any teacher to complete the challenge, but we're creating a space where you all can collaborate and connect with each other and decide, how the challenge can look in your context. And then the professional development support, we are offering a number of webinars and pre-recorded videos and other content from now through so July through the end of this year to support educators to complete the challenge. And again, we'll also host educator meetups so that you all can really learn from each other, hear what's going on in your different schools and cities, and really, meld the minds to navigate whatever is coming up in your context. I do see some other comments coming in the chat. So I see from Robert, I am very interested in the technical support that will be provided as we develop our ideas. So yes, we will have some webinars. We will have opportunities for some folks who work at Sienna to provide their expertise. So as we build all of that out, we'll share with you all of the opportunities that are coming up. This summer, we are not as heavy on the professional learning just because a lot of folks are out of school. But once the school year ramps back up, we'll share everything that's coming up in the semester that will support you in doing the challenge. Does the project need to be a prototype, or can it be an idea also? So that's a great question. I think the idea of this challenge is that the students create something. So it doesn't need to be fully finished, for lack of a better word. We're not looking for something that is super flashy and has all the bells and whistles. I think if they have a prototype, they've built it out, they have an artifact to show for what they've done, that's fine. And then for the challenge awards, the idea is that the funding would help you scale your project or sustain it. So if you can identify with the existing project, how you would use those funds to take your project to the next level, that's really what we're looking for. So it doesn't need to be like fully complete, but there does need to be some kind of artifact or, tangible something, whether it could honestly be a digital tangible thing, but just something to show for what students have created. And I see this other question, well, I guess comment, because of the pandemic, children are not coming to school. And yes, we've encountered that with the pilot. And there are ways for students to work on a solution virtually, but we'd love to connect you with other educators who have experienced that, who can give you their firsthand experiences, and you all can work on problem solving and navigating that together. Can the challenge focus on improving an existing idea activity that could be greatly improved? So I think what you're asking is, like, maybe you already have a project that's developed and you want to continue it. So I don't see why not. I think the main thing is that once you submit your project, we want to see how you kind of moved through the challenge-based learning framework. So that's really important to us for like evaluating the project. But if you all already have some ideas, you can kind of explain like how you got to those ideas, how you worked together, how the students drove the project, how the collaboration happened. You're more than welcome to submit a project that maybe you started previously and you want to continue working on that for this challenge. Are there any other questions? I'll take a pause here. Feel free to come off mute if you would like to ask with your voice, but you can also chat. You can chat your question as well.
Hi, Elise and Carissa. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought I'd be the brave one that comes off of chat after teaching for 18 months, in this situation where everybody's muted and everybody's face is off. So I thought I'd go ahead. So yeah, so thank you for this. This is great. I'm glad that I learned about this. We have an existing project. It really was interrupted by COVID, was started about 3 years ago, whose focus is to, we collaborate with we're in an urban district and we collaborate with a rural district. We provided opportunities for students to swap schools so that they could break down this urban-rural divide and also get some global and cultural competencies. It really needs to be a framework. It's just flopping around right now. And I see this as a great opportunity. Does that sound like something that we really feel like it can make a significant impact on our local communities? Does that sound like a project that's in your mirror there? So
are you saying basically that you through this exchange between the students at the urban and rural schools, the students of these different schools would work together to develop a project?
Yeah, well, they kind of are, but it's kind of teacher driven at this point. So we want to turn give the car keys away here and let the students take it. We've provided a foundation, but it's foundation without a real structure. Bringing the SDGs in, bringing the structure and getting technical support, having a real goal of maybe a podcast or something, or a website that goes along with it I think it would really fill the thing out and make it so that every single year that we do this, it will allow it to be more sustainable. Let's just put it that way. Give students more use their voices to drive the project.
Yeah, I love that idea of having that urban and rural school exchange. I think it's definitely a great opportunity for what challenge-based learning can do and how it can function. And really it's a framework for asking questions, identifying things that matter to the whole group and taking action on them. So I think this would be a great framework for what you're doing, and it helps students build those relationships too, and not just like they have something that they're working toward and having some kind of like goal in mind that they can work toward together. So I guess the main thing for you all would be to decide, the logistics of how you could make that happen. But I think that's a fantastic idea, and excited to see what the students come together to work on. Can a group have more than one challenge? So yes, that's also, so I'm assuming this means if you have one classroom, you have a bunch of different kids, and maybe you would put the kids in different challenge teams and they might be working on different challenges. Yeah, absolutely. So you don't have to necessarily work on everything as one class. You could split students up into groups. And then when you submit the project, you would just submit like each team's project. I think we might have a limit of like up to 6, but I need to double check. Yeah, you could submit the projects to be entered onto the gallery. And then when you apply for the challenge award, you would just need to identify like how that award money would be spent, whether it's like all on one project, if it's spread across different projects. You would just have to explain what the money would, how it would be used to scale or sustain the project. Great question, Poonam. So for the sustainability award, once you submit, so you submit the project first, and then you have the option to say, I also want to continue and apply for an award. So you have between September and January to apply. And these aren't on rolling, this is not on a rolling basis. So we'll review all of the submissions after the cutoff point in January, but you can, apply for an award at any time between September and January. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Hello, Carissa. Hello, Izzy. I'm from Brazil, and just want to ask about the eligibility for people from another country, if is that okay? And the second question is that Joan and I, we work in a project that is an initiative of the state for the students during the pandemic. And so we don't have students that are officially our students, although our classes are broadcasters to them. So, but sometimes we have some responses from them. We make some projects that they send us some kind of material. So we want to make like a structure of this kind of material. So are we eligible?
So all educators who teach middle and high school age students are eligible. It doesn't matter where they are in the world. So whether yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't need to be in the US to participate and apply for the sustainability award. And I think there was a second part of your question, but I'm not totally sure. Do you mind repeating it for me?
This means like sometimes the students, they're not officially our students. They are they have their own schools, their own teachers, but we broadcast our classes to them. So like
I see. So maybe I would suggest in that case trying to partner with the teachers of those students so that you're on the same page. But you could still, if you're an educator, you could still sign up. So you don't need to be an in-school like formal educator. You could do what it sounds like you do is like more of like an out-of-school program or something like adjacent to being in the school building. So you don't need to be like I guess a traditional classroom teacher to be a part. But I think if you're working with students who would be working on this project during their regular class time, it's probably worthwhile to sign up for the challenge with the teachers of those students so that there's alignment. Okay. I hope that answered your question or made sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I just wanted to share. I'm Monty Kalish. I work with the Jacobs Institute for Innovation and Education. We are a nonprofit that also supports inclusive innovation efforts. One of the things that we have is a platform, packful.org, that actually provides a design thinking curriculum and sort of some structure that may be of interest to some of you. We have had many educators, it's free. We have many educators who leverage that in the context of supporting initiatives like this throughout the year, and actually who have, in some cases, multi-dipped into different challenge efforts and have actually done a really amazing job of that. So I just thought I'd share that because our work aligns. We've done some work with Digital Promise in the past, so it's all great to see you guys.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for sharing. Are there any other questions? These are really good questions, by the way. So feel free to add. I'll look back in the chat box.
I have one more quick question, if I could.
Yeah.
So I'm a session director for a professional learning community that includes international graduate students and K-12 teachers. And I'm wondering in the fall if you would be willing to come in and have a little, how would I do it? A promotional session with this teachers for like 15 minutes, and maybe you could bring them on board as well.
Yeah, we'd be happy to just, if you share more information, we're happy to figure out how we can connect with your teachers.
I'll reach out to you.
Okay, great. How many projects will be awarded? So I think
It's 20.
yeah, I think it's 20.
20 projects will be awarded individually, but all projects will be considered for the online public gallery. So, and we are the award money actually goes to the institution. So the institution of the educator. So we're not giving the money directly to the educator, directly to the students. So just, FYI, so it'll only be one award per like each school or institution that is part of the project. Do we have any other questions or thoughts, reflections? That's actually coming up, Moses. We'll share with you the next webinar, but we'll also have more informal meetups. So we'll send that information out once those are scheduled. looks like we have
yeah, raised hand. Oh, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. If
I think you're unmuted.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you. Can you hear us? We can hear you.
Jeremias?
Yes.
I'm Jeremias. My school where I work, it's in the outskirts of the city in Mozambique, and it was also destroyed by cyclone that we had in 2019 here in Beira. And so you said that the award will go directly to the institution. And in my school, things are not well organized, because we don't have even a school phone number, and we don't have any website. Our students don't have any access to the internet. Sometimes I question myself, how will it be for you to send the award directly to the institution? Because our setting is really different from maybe US or Canada, or maybe other colleagues that I have shared.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, it's really for legal reasons that we're not providing the money directly to, individuals. So it does have to go to some institution, but you know, if your school was award or if your project was awarded, we would try to figure that out with you, the best way to deliver the money. So I can't tell you for sure like what the specific method of award delivery would be, but we want to make the challenges accessible to, you know, anybody who is participating. And yeah, if you're awarded, we could figure that out with you, what the best way to make that work is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. All right, well, we have about a minute left, so I want to be conscious of everyone's time. And I do want to share and thank you all for your questions. Let me start there. We do appreciate them because they really are insightful and helps us kind of with everything we kind of have going on. It's really helpful to know what you all are thinking. So our next professional learning session is on July 14th, 2021. And we are going to be talking a lot more about challenge-based learning, and it'll be an interactive session. So somewhat informal, but very interactive, and you will have an opportunity to talk to other educators and have some one-to-one time with our host who will be leading this session. And we are really, really excited to have you guys, have everyone join. So be on the lookout for this. The webinar information will be in the next newsletter in the next 2 weeks. So just be on the lookout for that. And if there are no other questions, we thank you all so much for attending. Please email siennachallenge@digitalpromise.org if you have any additional questions that you'd like to ask. And we appreciate your time with us today. And we be on the lookout for the recording for this. We'll send it in the next newsletter. Also, please be sure to register at siennachallenge.org so we can stay in touch with you all. And it looks like, yes, the Sienna email does go to me. So it's a real person behind there. Thanks for the question. All right, thank you, everyone. Take care.